Waya Collective are doing some really interesting things in regards to improving the manufacturing processes in Africa, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Antonio Lorenz joins me on this episode to give us a big update around Waya Collective, how they've pivoted the company from their previous direction to where they're going to now and the path they're going down. It's really interesting how that has evolved and grown, and I really like seeing projects doing that as well. If you're going down a path and with all your research that you've done, you realize it's not the right way, pivot, change directions and do something else that is more beneficial. Now, they're also now doing an ISPO, initial state pool offering, and you can find out all the details down below in the show notes. Since doing this interview, some of the details have changed around the ISPO as well. So please make sure you check out the website so that you can find out more about the token distribution, etc., etc. It has started as well. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this interview.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast.
I have Antonio Lorenz from Waya Collective joining me on the podcast again. Welcome back. And we're going to talk about developments of the project, how things have changed, and also an upcoming ISPO, initial state pool offering. Antonio, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here again.
Now, I'm sure a lot has changed, but if anyone wants a really good overview of the project, just check out the links down below and you'll be able to find out a little bit more about Waya Collective. But what has happened? It's been 6 months maybe since we last spoke. So I'm sure a lot has changed. Can you fill us in?
Absolutely. I was just thinking about this podcast and thinking about the last podcast that we did. And it's interesting because everything changed, I would say. We definitely, we've come a long way. I think the last time we did the podcast, it was a lot in the trial phase, which was great. But a lot of the issues and the problems and the challenges that I've talked about back then, really then helped us to actually pivot the project a little bit. So the overall idea is still quite similar, and the vision, we should say, but we just learned how to approach the problem in the right way, in a way that actually makes sense. I would say that the vision has really only grown way more. Also, the team has grown. I think we have now really all of the resources that we need to really fulfill this vision. And we really pivoted from this idea of trying to connect all of these existing small producers to building actual factories on ground in Africa. And we also pivoted from wanting to export to actually wanting to supply the local market. And why is that so?
There are big changes.
We just realized, definitely, absolutely. And why is that so? We just realized that as bad as it sounds in a way, these small informal producers, they will never be as efficient as a factory. And the reason why they exist is mainly because there is just a lack of capital and a lack of knowledge to build actual factories. And also the problem about these very small producers, they always stay small, and they will, in terms of quality, in terms of productivity, as I said, they will never be competitive with the global market. So the approach we took before would have never been more than like a charity project, I would say, and that's really not the direction that we wanted to go into. And we also realized that if we want to supply the international market, you have to play the games of the international market. And in terms of the fashion industry, that's a pretty tough game.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's good that you actually did do that research and didn't go down that initial path and realize this at the very early stages, so you can actually pivot, change the direction of the company and have a better outcome in the end. Fingers crossed it's the right outcome.
Absolutely.
So now I'm assuming with needing to build factories, there's a lot more fundraising that needs to happen now because a factory isn't cheap. Manufacturing production lines.
Oh no.
And I'm assuming now you're also doing stock inventory, talking with merchants to get supplies as well. So there's a whole plethora of new things. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
All right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It's a lot. Yeah.
So I did see that you're putting out the feelers for an initial stake pool offering, and I think that's what I really want to talk to you about now. And how are you guys going about this? What are the details of it? What are you raising the funds for? Obviously, I'm assuming it's for the factory, but can you fill us in with exactly what the details are and what you're trying to achieve with it?
So we really thought a lot about how we can take Waya from this seed stage where we are now to a real global player in manufacturing, because that is our goal. We want to build a more sustainable and a decentralized, better industry and better economy. And for that, we also need to scale, because we actually need to be a counterweight to the existing industry to actually have an impact. And for that, we, as you said, need a lot of funding, not just for the first factory, but for many more factories, because how our model is right now we start the first factory and the first brand and store in Uganda, but we actually want to build the operation system for that to grow like a franchise. So the factory and the brand can be replicated anywhere, but then also for other people to actually make new franchises on the blockchain. So make new brands, new types of factories, and through the blockchain and through the systems that we built, we can actually share the knowledge. We have a liquidity protocol which actually funds all of these new structures on ground and this new economy, really. The ISPO is really the beginning of that, but even for that, we need a lot of funding, and further on, the funding for the other factories will then happen with the liquidity protocol. But yeah, today is about the ISPO, and we really thought a lot about how we want to do it, because we love the theory about ISPOs. But we also see the challenges. And we just decided to take a little bit of an unconventional path, and then really focus on the ISPO as our main fundraising in the foreseeable future. And we also decided to do it a little bit different than most current ISPOs work. And that the way how we want to do it actually really fits into what we want to build in the end.
Okay, so you're kind of alluding that it's different to how the ISPOs run at the moment. So tell me the details. We'll be delegating to the Waya collective stake pools, I'm assuming. I don't know how many you have. Are we earning tokens through this process? What's the details around that?
When thinking about how we actually want to do it and about the details, we thought about what we want to achieve with it, and also how it fits into the bigger strategy. And for us, our model and what makes our new economy that we're building so much better is that it's decentralized, and that all of the transactions are actually recorded on the blockchain, which will result in a massive amount of transactions. So first of all, we need to be able to finance and also have the capacity for all of these transactions. And then on the other hand, we also rely on the Cardano ecosystem to actually work and to actually be centralized and not break down for this economy to run. So we thought, okay, how can we actually strengthen the security of the whole network? How can we also add to the capacity that we actually need? And we thought, we're all about manufacturing, so why don't we also just manufacture stake pools. So we're really talking about physical stake pools in Africa. And how we're exactly going to do it is the first global stake pool, is how we call it, will just be run by us. So that is just something very centralized, just to get the ball rolling. But then once the stake pool is filled, every next stake pool will actually be an independent stake pool collective. So just an independent stake pool that will be built on ground in Africa and will be run by someone of the community independently in Africa. And we essentially then partner with them, of course, giving them the traction and all of the stake that they need to start out within the ISPO. And then after the ISPO is done, because of course that's not going to run forever, these stake pools will actually keep running and then support the global Cardano network, but also support the local transactions, for example, by running Hydra and actually being responsible for these local transactions. So really helping us with the capacity and with actually also paying and making all of these transactions possible. But then on the other hand, really helping Cardano as a whole to really be strong and robust, because as maybe many of you know, a lot of the stake was now run in some cloud service, maybe AWS. So it's still not entirely centralized. And we think by building these local stake pools that not just run with us, but also in the future, we really, everyone who stakes can really help build these new robust and local stake pools.
I love that approach. So one, connecting and connecting with local stake pool operators and maybe even new ones that didn't even think of it, but have the skills to start up their own stake pools locally there in Uganda or wherever you can set up the factories. So that's really cool. But then also having the infrastructure there so that it can support your business.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. So that's very well thought of to actually get what you need in terms of infrastructure from the stake pools and transactions, as well as helping the local economy and creating the stake pools there. So that's really cool. That's really, really cool. So the operators will keep operating afterwards for as long as they want as well, which is bring them new sources of income and supporting the Cardano blockchain. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and also we even thought about after the ISPO is running, we will still set up more local factories and these local value creating ecosystems. And at the heart of each of these ecosystems can actually be a stake pool, supporting these operations and having the first step on ground. If someone says, okay, I want to venture into this country, the first thing you can start out with is a stake pool, and you already have the structures on ground and some income running and all of that.
So in terms of then people, users such as myself or anyone listening to the podcast, they could delegate to these stake pools and earn, Way Collective tokens. How do the tokens, what are they for? Are they governance tokens? What's the details around that?
Yeah, so we're giving out governance tokens. Yeah, so we have allocated 5% of all of our tokens, which is 5 million Wire tokens, to the ISPO, and we intend to raise 20 million ADA with this. So in turn for ADA, delegators will get one Wire governance token, but at a pool margin of 75%. So not 100%. Delegators will still get a little bit of the stake or of the reward in ADA, just so that this long-term approach also makes sense to stay there as a delegator if you still want to get a little bit of that ADA reward as well. So that's really while the ISPO is running.
So 75%, that's an interesting percentage point that you've gone for. Most either go for the 50-50 or the 99%, which is essentially 100%. Or some even just go for the regular 5% fee or the regular stake pool fee that many do. Why was the choice made at 75%?
Our thinking was that the feeling of getting a reward back is just nice, like from a psychological level. And when you stake in an ISPO, you don't get the tokens immediately.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to create an incentive to stay there long term, because it's a long-term approach. That's really the main.
Gotcha.
But on the other hand, we also need a lot of funding
Yeah.
to actually build this economy. It's just very capital intensive, and we need it also quite soon.
Quite soon. Okay, well, 20 million ADA is quite a...
Okay, not that soon. Okay, we're thinking of the whole ISPO, we think probably run definitely more than 1 to maybe even 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, most ISPOs only run six months. The longest one I've seen is 6 months. So like 2-3 years is quite a lot longer than that. There is, I think, one that is running for until Epoch 500 and something. So that's a very long time. But yeah, I could see if you're gradually getting the ADA through into the ISPO, you could spend the money gradually as you progress through. So it's for whatever you need, operating costs, running costs,
exactly.
All that stuff. Okay, so if that was the case then, and the ISPO was going for 2 years, for example, people and delegates that are contributing to the pools, when would they see tokens come out of the project?
We haven't made that decision fully now, but definitely, it's really also about the legal, how we handle the legal work, and to set up all of the legal structures of the DAO will not take 3 years. So we definitely want to do that this year, but it will, of course, take a couple of months from now.
Gotcha. Yeah, the most projects hold on to the token distribution for quite a long time. There's some projects that you won't see tokens for a year and a half, even, and we're staking now, so it's a very long vesting period and a long investment in the project. A lot of faith as well. So it's you don't know if the projects can actually execute. I'm not saying that you guys won't. I know you have quite a good team now, but it's a lot of waiting time for a lot of these tokens to come out. Now, a little bit earlier, you also mentioned a liquidity protocol. Could you explain exactly what that is and how that ties into the vision in general now?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wire Collective wants to create the operation system for new industries to be built anywhere around the world, but starting in African countries. And one thing that is the most problematic in African countries is getting capital. It's very expensive. It's hard to get. And crypto and Cardano is a way to actually solve that quite easy. And actually having the capital for a factory like that, like just instant, is just a huge value for building industries. And through the liquidity protocol, that's really how that is actually put into reality. And Wire token holders can stake their tokens into the liquidity protocol, which then is invested in these factories, stores, any parts of this new economy, which is also has an added layer of security, because we don't just give it to anyone, and we don't just give them the money. We also give them the specifications and literally a franchise that they can open. So it is already a proven business model, and the chances that it's actually going to be paid back are quite high. And yeah, we expect that we can pay an interest or reward to the token holders or the delegators or depositors for 6 to 8%. So how we actually collect the interest is we don't go to the factories and knock on their door and be like, where's our interest?
Yeah.
But all of the transactions in the network, that's what I was talking about earlier, are actually going to be recorded and go through the blockchain. So that way, they won't even feel like they have to pay us back, because there's automatically a small part of the income they get will just be, again, retrieved for the liquidity pool. And that's going to make it very easy to actually do business, grow these economies, have a reliable network, paying the money back in a very secure way with these liquidity pools. I
like it. That little thing where the fee is paid back in the transactions, because the transaction is usually a lot smaller, the fees are a lot smaller, you don't notice it, so you pay it over time. So that's I kind of wish that was the case in all business. It's that would just make things a lot easier. But it sounds like you guys have really stepped back and thought about all these aspects and really rebuilt the entire project, so that you could think about sustainability and scalability of the project. So scalability as in, now you need the factories to actually be able to mass produce. You've changed your market target, so I'm targeting locally as well. And then, of course, the sustainability of how the funding is going to happen, so you can reproduce this model and build other factories elsewhere. Absolutely amazing. Exactly. Absolutely amazing. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So this is definitely a long-term project, and I'm also trying to visualize how big some of these factories might get. This is the very first factory. What kind of scale are you talking about? Sometimes when I think factories, I think Tesla Gigafactory. That's huge. So how big are you actually thinking for the first stepping stones to get this all started?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question, and something I'm most passionate about this part, because that's literally what I'm doing right now in Uganda, actually setting up the first version 1 of the collective. And so what we actually are building is, on one hand, factories, but then every local ecosystem actually has to start market-driven or demand-driven. So we actually start with a brand at the moment, because it's also way less capital intensive. So right now we're actually working on setting up a brand, launching a brand for upcoming middle-class African Ugandan consumers. I could talk a whole lot about that. It's really hard to find clothing here, and that I think I explained it quite a lot, but there's definitely a need for that. And right now, really doing a lot of market research, building this brand, and outsourcing the production for now, for the first half of the year. But then once we have actually raised also the necessary funds for the first factory, hopefully in the second half of the year we can build this second the first factory, second collective in that sense. And that factory is going to be we have to start somewhere, so it's going to be around 50 employees, outputting, depending on what we produce, definitely a couple of hundred to thousands of products every day, something of that sort. And the financials for that are definitely about $500,000 to actually build this first factory. But we also have really high goals for this factory, because we definitely we want to set a new standard for what manufacturing in Africa actually can be, and that it can be this decentralized factory, or this factory that is sustainable, that is super modern, that has really high productivity, employees that are paid well, is to really, have this inspiring and inspirational factory that people can come and look into and actually get inspired to be like, okay, wow, I want to build it now somewhere else. Like, that's also what I want. And then, we give them the tools. We go like, here you have the plan. Like, you just have to do step 1 to step 1,000 to actually build this factory. Here's the money. And here's also someone else can then start the shop, for example, in a different country. And like that, we actually give people the tools and the training and also the governance to be able to just build really great industries all over Africa. And that is really exciting. And if you talk about the size of what a factory can be, so this is for now a starting point, but I mean, we start in the fashion industry and we start with this garment factory, but we really believe that this Wire Collective operation system can power any industry. So that could be even a Tesla or any sort of car factory. And there's something that we call the optimal degree of decentralization, because on one hand, it's great and we want to produce as local as possible, but on the other hand, decentralization is also not a value of itself. I mean, it has to, in the end, be efficient, competitive, be good for the people, all of that. Yes, so for like consumer goods that are really fast moving, such as fashion, a smaller local factory would make sense, but then maybe for, I don't know, a product which is always the same and is very light or something like that, and it's really efficient to have one factory for the entire world, then that's it in a way. But anything is possible, I would say.
Wow. Okay. I'm trying to imagine the economic impact and how much reach you would get with setting up these factories. So the first one you said, possibly 50 jobs from setting this up and injecting money into the economy to build the factory, et cetera, et cetera. Have you looked into how much of an effect this will have across the economy in different parts of the country? So once, let's say you're 3 years down the path, you've set up 5 factories, it's operating quite well. Do you really see you guys employing up to 250 staff throughout the different factories and really injecting quite an impact in the economy? I'm just trying to visualize how much and what that would look like.
Absolutely. I mean, our vision is big. It's fundamental, I would say, because our vision is we want to create a new economy together in this DAO. And we really see ourselves in the next decade, probably building hundreds of factories and employing millions of people and venturing into many different industries even. I think this is just a very small beginning, and definitely I think in the next 2 to 3 years we will hopefully have at least 5 to 10 collectives and at least 500 people working in them, if not way more. Like, as I said, we really want to create this thing that, because I mean I've lived in Africa now for a while, and other people in our team also have lived in Africa, and Matthias is also, he's Ethiopian, and we've seen what the problems are, and we really believe with Wire is we can create exactly these tools that make it possible for this industry to really scale out very fast, and that's the goal we have. We say we want to leapfrog industrialization, and I mean, with the rise of the population, especially in Africa, that's what you need. I mean, we need to actually build millions of jobs. I mean, tens of millions of jobs in the next 20 years. And we believe that Wire and Crypto and Cardano are exactly the tools for that. And
wow,
that's the scope we're thinking of, nothing less.
So millions of factories. That is quite a vision. And if the first few are successful and you've got the blueprint and everything is working well, the blockchain is functioning as it is, and all those mechanisms that you're putting into place are working, I can't see why this isn't scaled out to, like you hope, multiple different industries all over Africa and then to the rest of the world as well. It's just seems like a no-brainer, really. Like if you've got the blueprint and everything's in place, it's just an easy thing to replicate and move across.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing.
Exactly.
Now, with starting these factories, you can't just walk down to the person down the street and say, hey, you want to start this factory up, here's the plans and here's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You need to partner up with the right people, people with the right business sense and motivation. How do you connect with those people? Are you networking? Are you finding these people? Or do you have to train them up? What's your plan around that?
Mm-hmm. Also a very good question. For now, this first factory, this first collective ecosystem in Uganda is fully centralized. So it's really myself starting it and our team, because you have to start somewhere and you just have to set the right structures. And that's obviously happening very centralized. We already have a person who can start the second ecosystem. So that is one of our strategic contributors or advisors. He's called Mutoban Goma, and he lives in Zambia. He's Zambian, and he's been in industrialization and manufacturing for his entire life. He's running. He used to be in manufacturing biodiesel. Now he's in soap production. Both me and another team members of ours are have a really good relationship to him. So now he also joined us, and he's willing to start up the second factory, which is then really the first proof of concept as of can we scale it? And I think when we've done that, it's really on us to open up to potentially everyone, but of course we need to have the right people, and the people have to be trained. I mean, it sounds like, okay, everyone builds factories.
Yeah.
Here you have the money, but of course it's not that will never work. We're really thinking of having a 1 to 2 year training program. So that's going to be like a boot camp of up to a year. Then the people have to actually work in these existing factories and collectives also for a year, and then we can still see, okay, who actually has the potential to build the factory or to build a new collective. And that can be then an existing one they just replicate, or they can even create something new and even create a new type of brand, a new type of factory, a new type of industry even. This leadership and this training is extremely important. We believe that it's definitely possible to train these people, but it's also definitely a big investment that we have to do. And I think that is actually one of the key things that will make it work and that actually will have the impact that we want to have, because just living here, it's education and actually having the experience, and that people are really taken through a program and being challenged and really getting these opportunities. There's not a lot of that here. I mean, there is obviously, but we believe that actually finding these people that actually have the strength and have all of that to do that, they can then even inspire even more and more and train more, and that's also how it grows. So definitely an important part, which is also explained in the white paper.
Very, very cool. I love that approach of finding leadership and training and educating the people from within and hand-holding them through the process. Well, not so much hand-holding, but guiding them through and helping them and finding out which ones can actually go through the process, setting up new factories. So it's all a part of the family, I guess, and then spread out and create those new collectives. Very, very nice touch. Very good approach. Wow, this has really evolved so much from when we first spoke. It's gone from so much. It's essentially a completely different project, and it's absolutely amazing to see that it's gone this far and going this way as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. It's awesome to see it. I mean, I'd say putting in the work to get here. I mean, I just had this crazy idea of building this manufacturing network, and I just went ahead and did it. And of course, I failed in a certain sense, but then, I kind of, I feel like I attracted the right people who are like, there's actually a lot of potential there. And then what can we learn from these experiences, and how can we actually build a thing that will work?
I wouldn't say you failed. The fact that you knew you had to pivot and change is the key
Failed
thing.
is a strong word.
Exactly. It is a strong word, but you engaged and talked with the right people. You realized that the idea wasn't strong enough, and you could pivot. That's the main thing. So every day is a new challenge, and you can evolve and adapt as those challenges come into play. So this is all absolutely amazing. The ISPO is really cool what you're trying to achieve there as well. And the whole pivoting and changing of the Waya Collective business model is really good as well. But what is the timeline looking like? When are we going to see any of these things? When can we start delegating to the stake pools, et cetera, et cetera? What is the timeline for all this?
The ISPO will actually launch on the 15th. So that's, as we speak, a little bit more than a week. As we speak right now, today is actually the launch of the white paper, which explains all of the things that I talked about in quite detail, and actually really, goes deep into how we plan to do it, and what we want to achieve with it. And so the ISPO will start on the 15th, and we expect and hope a lot of people to join us there. And then 1 week later is actually when we also will launch another interesting small project for the community, which is a little bit about our timeline, our long timeline. Since we have such a big vision, we thought a normal timeline will never capture that. So we're actually doing eras. Waya Collective eras, how we want to achieve that big vision, and there's going to be an NFT promotion around that, which is also going to be very interesting. So a lot to look forward to.
I do like my NFTs, and I was fortunate enough to get to the last one that you guys sent out with the T-shirt as well. Haven't received the T-shirt yet. I think that might take a little while to get to Australia. But the artwork in general is beautiful. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, logistics take sometimes quite some time.
Everything is looking fantastic. The timeline or eras is very exciting to hear about. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about that. I'll put all the links to the white paper, the ISPO details as well in the descriptions for the video. So if anyone that wants to find out more can do so, and also of course reach out to your community as well. What is the best way to find out more information about Waya Collective?
Well, first of all, Twitter, of course, and our website. And the way to join the community is really the Telegram group and the Discord. So we're quite active in the Discord. There's a really cool community building up there. Absolutely fantastic. Again, I'll put the links to that in the show notes. Antonia, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast again. It's an absolute pleasure to have you and learn more about what has happened with the project. And I'm very excited about this ISPO as well. Thank you so much for having me. It was great to be here again. Thank you, Antonia, for joining me on this episode, and hopefully you found this interview quite interesting. Now, some of the tokenomics of the ISPO have changed, so please make sure you check out the show notes down below so that you get a more up-to-date picture of what they're doing around the ISPO. The ISPO has started. The ticker is WYACO, and you can find that on any wallet, whether it's Daedalus, Yoroi, or Eternal, the rebrand of CC Vault. You can find that on any of those wallets, or if you're using Nami Wallet, you can navigate to it via Pool PM and delegate that way. Let me know in the comments down below if you're participating in this ISPO or what you think about the project in general. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. That's it for me for this interview and episode. If you like this type of content, please give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, click the notification bell, and you hear from me soon.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.